Target, Ploesti, center of Romania's oil industry and the richest oil fields in Europe. These scenes from captured German film showing the blazing results of continued air attacks were taken during April and May of 1944. These pictures of the Concordia Vega refinery, second largest in Ploesti, were taken during and after the attack of April 24th. The air battle of Ploesti, one of the greatest sagas of the war, ended August 19th, 1944, after 24 attacks. Save for 2 attacks in 1943 by the 8th and the 9th Air Forces, a small P-38 mission, and 4 attacks by RAF night bombers, the campaign to level Ploesti was carried out solely by the 15th Air Force. These attacks, between April 5th and August 19th, 1944, cost us 223 heavy daylight bombers out of 5,479 attacking, as well as 18 night bombers, 36 fighters. 2,200 airmen were shot down, but 1,166 of these were returned to Italy between August 31st and September 3rd of this year. We destroyed 188 enemy planes in the air. Against fierce resistance from flak, fighters, and the most effective smokescreen yet experienced, these attacks destroyed 90% of Ploesti's vital oil installations, virtually eliminated it as a rich source of fuel for the Luftwaffe and Wehrmacht, a source from which Germany took 1/3 of her oil needs. Smoke from the burning storage tanks at times completely obscured the sky, blotting out all light, even at midday. Capacity of refineries was reduced during this time from 709,000 to 77,000 tons crude output per month. Gasoline production was cut from 177,000 to 15,000 tons per month, a reduction of 91%. This loss to the enemy represented a major triumph in the history of strategic air warfare. The result of these attacks, proof that oil refineries could be knocked out with a reasonable economy of force, placed oil at the top of strategic priorities and started the intensive air campaign against both synthetic and crude Nazi oil installations. Another attack against the same refinery on May 30th caused this roaring inferno. When Ploesti fell to the Russians on August 30th, 4/5 of its refining capacity had been destroyed by bombing, a loss equivalent to half of all oil produced in 18 of our greatest oil-producing states. During September, the commander of the Mediterranean Allied Air Forces and the commanding general of the 15th Air Force inspected the bomb damage at Ploesti and visited the Romana refinery, largest in the area. This was a cracking plant. The importance of this target is indicated by the grim battle the enemy made to save it. Outer anti-aircraft defenses of Ploesti were oval-shaped, with the north-south axis 30 miles long and the east-west axis 20 miles long. Inner defenses formed a belt around the town, studded with 240 heavy anti-aircraft installations, one of the 3 densest concentrations in Europe. The 3 principal aerodromes in the area were supplemented by 2 alternate bases and a number in the Bucharest area to the south. Barrage balloons were raised at night from 6,000 to 10,000 feet. Ploesti and its suburbs comprised 19 square miles, but 2 dummy towns had been constructed several miles to the east and to the northwest of Ploesti to deceive attacking bombers. The enemy's increasing defensive tactics required a complete alteration of bombing technique after the first few missions. Flak, as heavy as it was, did not cause losses inconsistent with the high priority value of the target. And enemy interception became weaker as destruction of fighters and aircraft plants forced the Nazis to disperse their air strength to protect widely scattered industries. But smokescreens, initially ineffective, became Ploesti's major defensive weapon and made normal visual bombing virtually impossible. However, all of the enemy's defensive measures were overcome and the attacks were pressed home with success. Damage to the Romano-Americano plant 3 miles east of the town of Ploesti, was also inspected. This installation was the third largest refinery at Ploesti, with an annual capacity of 727,000 tons. Here, too, the powerhouse, storage tanks, cracking and distillation plants were demolished. The entire Ploesti oil region was closely built up with refineries and pumping stations interconnected by railway. This refinery, the Concordia Vega, was the second largest in the area. It had a refining capacity of over 1 million tons. By the 19th of August, 5,500 tons of bombs had toppled most of the 16 oil refineries and storage depots in the main Ploesti area and 3 in outlying districts. Capture of Ploesti by the Russians last August brought to the Allies the world's 6th richest petroleum source, much of which was pre-war controlled by American and British interests. TURNU-SEVERIN, Danube city on the Yugoslav-Romanian border at the southwestern extremity of the Carpathians, was captured September 6, 1944. These captured German films, photographed last summer, show Allied bomb damage. Here are the railroad yards, sheds, and workshops, just and wharves on the banks of the Danube. The locomotive roundhouse, crowded with engines, is a mass of debris. The railroad and docking facilities of TURNU-SEVERIN made it the leading grain port in Romania, as well as an important oil distribution center. And as the southern end of the Russian front continued to drive westward, TURNU-SEVERIN had particular significance. Its railroads were the key to withdrawal of some 10 Nazi divisions from the lower Balkans. Brasov, in central Romania, about 85 miles northwest of Bucharest, was another important objective for the 15th Air Force during the spring and summer of 1944. It, too, contained a vulnerable concentration of transportation targets on the railway line that moved oil products and freight between central Romania and Western Europe. At one time, 20% of Romanian oil shipped to the Axis was transported over this line. The freight yard at Brasov contained numerous sidings, warehouses, and extensive engine maintenance facilities. In Romanian industrial importance, Brasov ranked with Bucharest and Ploesti. It contained many diversified and highly productive targets. Among them, a munitions and cannon factory that produced shells, tanks, anti-aircraft artillery, railroad car and locomotive parts. The factory was located about 3.5 miles southeast of Brasov. Another principal target in the area was the largest aircraft factory in Romania, located about 2.5 miles northeast of the Brasov railroad yards. The installation included an airfield and a large hangar. Bucharest, capital of Romania, hub of the Romanian transportation network, and industrial and commercial heart of the country, presented many primary targets for 15th Air Force bombers. These captured German scenes of the North Railroad Station in Bucharest were taken during and after a raid of April 24th and reveal the effective marksmanship of Allied planes. In addition to transportation facilities, munition and oil plants in the area were also attacked. Bucharest fell the end of August and was the first former enemy capital taken by the Red Army. Red tanks and cavalry, completely equipped with American-made vehicles, entered the city without a fight. Beginning September 2nd, 2 days after the Russians entered the city, American cameras began appraising Allied bomb damage to Bucharest. The condition of these marshalling yards is a good example of how strategic rail targets have been methodically reduced throughout the Balkans. 15th Air Force bombers chalked up these hits. Pinpointing main rail lines like this has made Nazi withdrawal from the Balkans very difficult, currently threatens to entrap a number of divisions. Incensed at losing their Romanian satellite, Nazi retaliation sent the German Air Force back on a 4-day indiscriminate bombing raid. Many landmarks were damaged or destroyed. The following scenes show some of that destruction. German prisoners were put to work clearing and repairing the results of Nazi bombings. The university, founded by King Carol and seen in the background, was extensively damaged. The Royal Palace also suffered several hits. Although badly torn up, Bucharest seemed to get back to normal, readjusting itself readily to its change of position in the war. Romania's loss has been crucial for the Reich. Strategically, Romania meant Nazi control of all southeastern Europe. Romanian wheat surpluses, 1 million tons last year, had helped solve the Nazi food problem. Before Allied bombings, Germans had drawn a third of their oil from the Ploesti fields, 15% of their manganese from Romanian mines. Many prominent buildings were wrecked by German bombs. But bomb damage could not stop the Balkan upheaval that followed Romania's surrender. Bulgaria quit soon after, and the way was open to Hungary, last big German satellite. At October's end, Hungary was seeking an armistice as the fall of Budapest, within the sight of Russian guns, was imminent.